If you're an agent wanting to transition from working in your business to working on your business, then you definitely want to stick around for what's next. But before we go ahead and get into today's video, I wanted to welcome everybody to the channel, Ivan Cano Real Estate. My name is Ivan Cano. I'm a licensed real estate agent, and I want to help other agents by sharing my journey and my experiences through this channel. So if you like the content that you see on this channel or you learn something, please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe. It helps get the message out. And also, if you're an agent and you want to connect with me, links on how to contact me down below. I'm always willing to talk shop. Like I said, I really do want to help agents. But today's video I wanted to get into is the transition of working in your business to working on your business. And the best way I can convey that message, I don't know why I envision this in my head, is in relation to fishing and how that progresses throughout our journey. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the video. But when I started in real estate, I really felt like a fisherman. Just, to me, it's like a rod standing in front of a body of water, a lake, ocean, whatever, comes to mind for you. But every day I'd be casting my line and reeling, and that's lead generation efforts, whether that be calling prospects, cold calling, door knocking, handing out flyers, mailers, posting on social media, YouTube, referral, sphere of influence, etc. You name it. I was just doing that daily, making efforts, hoping to catch a lead or an opportunity. And when I landed a deal, I felt incredible. That was awesome. But the process was slow, and very quickly I realized I could only work as fast as I could cast and reel, if that makes sense. So you have to actively be working in that effort in order to generate business, which is great. That's where we all start. That it takes work. There's really no shortcut. But that, like I said, the process was slow, and that really made me realize that even though it was effective, it wasn't sustainable for what I was trying to accomplish. Now, everybody's goals in real estate are different, but at least for me, it didn't seem like that's the way I wanted to continue forward for the rest of my career. So anyway, we can go ahead and get into phase one. As I grew and progressed in my career, I realized that quickly that one rod wasn't enough. So I needed multiple lead sources, or multiple rods, if you will. So I started, adding different avenues, YouTube, social media, etc., to my lead generation efforts. And even though that was fantastic, each rod represented a new lead generation source. With more rods in the water, if you will, I started catching more leads and closing more deals, and I was feeling like I was gaining momentum. But there was a catch with that, right? And no pun intended, literally. I had to manage all these lines, and again, it's you have to actively be involved. And the more leads I generate, even if they're passive. So to give you guys an example and kind of clear that up, YouTube, you create the content and you put it out there, and then you wait, right? That's still a rod in the water. So think of it this way. If you're fishing with one rod in your hand, you're actively doing it. And the best example I can give is cold calling. You're actually casting and reeling, casting and reeling, casting and reeling, which is a great way to generate business out, by the way. But another one is YouTube, for example. It's a line in the water, but you still have to watch it. Does that make sense? So you still have to manage all these avenues of lead generation. You have to work and manage these. So the more leads I generated, the harder I work, which is, again, there's no shortcut. You have to put in the effort and the work. And it was, quickly becoming apparent that there needed to be a better way. Every lead still required my personal attention. Okay, so great. Having multiple rods, it felt like success. However, I was still limited by how many lines I could physically manage. I wasn't scaling. I was just adding more work to my plate, if that makes sense. So that's when something went off in my head. I felt like there was another level, and I needed to do something else. And that's when I realized something had to change. So what if, instead of chasing leads individually or having all these efforts individually, again, multiple rods, think of it, I built a system instead to kind of bring that all together. And that's where the concept of the net comes in. So imagine, if you will, building a net, right? The net to me represents all of your efforts, because again, there's different points to a net. They're all attached, and each point on the net is a lead generation source or effort, right? But they're all interconnected. And the difference is that, again, if you look at literally in fishing, commercial fishermen or professional fishermen that do that for a living, not tournaments, not for fun or hobbies. They use nets, not multiple rods. So, and I'm talking from the commercial aspect of business, right? So really, that net represented a cohesive system that would work to pull in leads or opportunities across every channel, whether that be social media, traffic, ads, YouTube, email campaigns, door knocking, you name it. Um, Really, the follow up system then would convert them into clients, and you could repeat that, and then your referral network would keep it going, if you will. So with a net, I wasn't running from rod to rod anymore. My systems were working together intentionally. Leads flowed in and were filtered and placed in different buckets. Shout out to Brian Hochstetter. And I only focused on the most qualified prospects at the time, and I was finally working on my business instead of just in it. If that makes sense. Okay, so I wanted to dive a little deeper into the building the net because I think this is where it's essential. You have to kind of put the whole system together intentionally, and what I mean is I kind of had to reset a variety of different lead sources in order to rebuild them and tie them in to where they moved as one cohesive unit. And to give you an example, like even though like I was doing YouTube before and email campaigns to my database, etc., they weren't tied together and they weren't reciprocal. Meaning that one didn't feed into the other. So really the light that went off was I needed to kind of leverage all of it together at once because again, even if you have the net, if it's not built correctly, you can have holes in it, if that makes sense. So you got to really work on the building of your net and the maintaining of it just to make sure you plug up any holes to have it as efficient as possible so that every time you do put out the net, it's going to give it the best shot it can at bringing in the lead flow and catching big fish. So really, that was really an important part because even once you do build it, you kind of constantly have to like just work on the business and maintain it and make sure, like I said, that you plug up any holes and make sure that everything's working together and doing it very well and efficiently. So I just wanted to dive a little bit more into that, but we can go ahead and move on to what's after that. So that's really, once you get that going, you can kind of really start seeing and envisioning what's next. And I want to get into that. Okay, so to kind of recap, great. You build your net, you're maintaining it, you're making it efficient as possible. You're really laying the foundation for those systems, which in reality, it just you're building a funnel, and this is the thing. Great, you're running it, and it's working. It maximizes your effort, so you're leveraging everything together in order to maximize your results based on all your cohesive efforts into one. So funnel, and that's great, but that isn't the end goal. That isn't where we stop. So what's next? What's the next step? What's the next level? Really, the ultimate goal is to scale. It's not building the net itself, it's scaling that and all of the systems into a full-fledged operation. Meaning, think of it now, a commercial fishing boat with those huge arms and those huge nets to each side. That's think of it that way. That's what comes to my vision in my head. So it's still using nets, but at a much larger scale. So that's really, we don't stop at that. Or again, maybe it is for you, but again, we can always talk shop and just kind of discuss that. But really what the ship represents is the business that runs like a machine. It's scalable, efficient, and no longer depending on me doing all the work. Systems are automated, teams are in place. I can focus on growing and managing the operation, not getting caught in the day to day, if that makes sense. So, think of it this way: instead of being the one reeling in the fish and the opportunities and landing them, you're going to be the captain steering the ship, if that makes sense. You've built a team that handles that, processes the catch, and keeps the operations, running smoothly per se. But that is, scaling the business, but it doesn't even just stop there. Um, you're not just the captain. Like essentially, I don't want to just be the captain either. That's not where it ends. The end game, truly, I think, is building a big enough business to where you own it, and really, you're not just closing the deals, but you're building a legacy, right? A business and a whole system, organization that thrives whether you're actively involved or not. And I think that's the end game. At least that's what I envision. Maybe that can change, but from what I can see now, that's definitely the path forward. And I hope that makes sense. So you know, just kind of recapping. You start off. I did one rod and one reel and just catching and doing that, scaling to multiple rods. But then something went off in my head, and I realized very quickly that there's more and better ways of doing this and leveraging. Because when we all start out, you have time or money, and as the money starts coming in, if you reinvest in your business, you can start leveraging that money, some of it, to kind of buy back your time, if that makes sense. And then really, like I said, just building the net is, think of it as, if you do that correctly, you have the foundation to build a fantastic system which you can then scale, and where you take it from there is really on you. I'm sharing a little bit of my vision forward, especially moving into the years ahead, and I'm excited for it. But really, that's it. That's the end game. So just take that into account. Think about it. Let me know if you want to discuss, or if you have different differing opinions or whatever. Feel free to comment down below. So, in kind of closing, where are you today? Are you still fishing with multiple rods, managing multiple lines at the same time, and feeling like you're stuck or stagnant? Because I was, I was literally there. Or maybe perhaps you're at that point where you're ready to kind of start building your net and start scaling your systems. Whatever that may be. Here's the thing: wherever you are on your journey, from rod to ship, it's not going to be easy. That's the biggest thing that I think crushes a lot of people. Like there literally is no shortcut. You just have to be willing to do the work. There's so many things that we can go down that rabbit hole. There's plenty of time for that. I'll probably make you future videos regarding that. But really, it's what I can tell you. It's so worth it. Really, there's no better way to explain it. It's just when you start working on your business instead of being caught in it, that's when you really start seeing not only the potential of what you can build, but what you're capable of. And I think that's truly fulfilling. And again, I'm always down to talk shop. Feel free to reach out anytime. Well, if you've made it this far, I sincerely want to thank you for watching. If this inspired you in any way, helped you in any way, please hit that like button, subscribe for more strategies, and drop a comment below. And again, if you ever want to talk shop, when you want to talk about building that ship, please, please, please feel free to reach out. I'm always here to help. But as always, life is good. Always make it count.